what's going on? Sorry about the hiatus, but I am getting this episode out this week. It'll be one this week instead of two, but I mean, one is better than nothing, right? So it's been kind of a whirlwind week, and if you follow the social media page, the Instagram page, you would know that over the last week there's been some battling going on with my employer and with regards to my commission rate and what I signed and and then them telling me that it was not valid, that it was just an example, and that what I had been striving for the last year and a half was not really what my thresholds were. So I kind of pushed back a little bit and started asking questions because I wanted to know, and I figured there had to have been reports that just kind of measured where I was in relation to where I needed to be, and reports that say like my return percentage and all of that kind of stuff, and I wasn't getting those. So last Wednesday I just posed a question to my direct supervisor, and he told me to talk to his boss about it because he wasn't sure. So I did, and then his response back to me was, well, we'll discuss this tomorrow. So Thursday came, I didn't hear anything. I reached back out to him. Friday, he tells me that I don't have a plan. And I said, well, I don't understand. These are the things I signed. And he said those were just examples. So I waited to get through Monday to see if they got anything back to me. And I didn't get anything. Nobody reached out to me, nothing. So Tuesday afternoon, I shot an email that said, how disappointed I was that after a year and a half, I didn't have a plan in place, and that I'd been asked several times about where I was with my commission and whether I was hitting it or close to hitting it or whatever the case may be. And I said, how do I even respond to those questions when I don't even know what the threshold is now? And I signed these documents, and if these aren't it, then why did I sign them? So the response I got back that afternoon was that he is very disappointed that I had sent an email like that. Now, I'm glad that he was disappointed that I sent an email like that, but it shouldn't have gotten to that point to begin with. I don't understand. How do you run a company with commissioned salespeople and not have a base commission plan in place for when salespeople start? So I kind of, I left it alone or whatever, and then I got a call from my direct supervisor that said, my boss is not happy and blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, well, I don't really care because this is what I signed. And him and I went through what a potential commission plan would look like compared to what I signed. And every single time I challenged him on that, he kind of got quiet and tried to sidestep it. But there's no sidestepping it. I have it in my onboard paperwork. I have it when I signed it in my onboard paperwork. I had it when I re-signed all my documentation with the agreements for my vacation. All the same paperwork. And then in July, there was another discussion about it because I had hit those thresholds and asked about commission. And again, his response was, I think the date's wrong on that commission thing, but I never heard anything after that. So this doesn't lie on me. And I was, pretty upset by it. So they were supposed to call me on Wednesday with that stuff. They said they tried to call and it went right to voicemail, which is bullshit. And then so I waited around yesterday and they didn't call, and they said I would know by the end of the week. So I kind of expect a phone call today at some point with a conversation that relates to that. Now, obviously, I'm not going to sign anything. I want to see it. I want to read it. I want to be able to challenge some of the stuff on it because in my current role, I don't get a car stipend for all the wear and tear on my car. I don't get any gas reimbursement. I don't get reimbursement for my cell phone, which I use 100% for work. Obviously personal stuff too, but the only way my accounts can get a hold of me is through my phone. And I also don't get reimbursement for tolls for when I'm on the road. So then talking to some of the other sales reps, there's a fee that you get slapped for returns and bad debts and all this stuff. So if they're not going to pay me for those things, then I'm not paying the restocking fees. That's how we're going to negotiate this. Outside of that, I have had another company reach out to me with interest. Not a headhunter, the company direct. They had seen my LinkedIn page and was very interested in my experience and my background and whatever else. So I had a phone conversation with them last week, and that went really well. That was about a half-hour conversation, and that went really well. We're scheduled to meet for coffee this coming week on Wednesday to further discuss. I can answer, some questions that he may still have for me, and I'll obviously have some questions for him. Some of them pertaining to, what does commission look like? What's the range for base salary in this position and all those kind of things, because I got to weigh those heavily as to whether or not it's going to be beneficial for me to leave. The only upside is that all my accounts will be in Connecticut in a designated area, so that part will have its upside. Well, I might not be able to be home as much, but I will know exactly where my territory is, which would alleviate a lot of the stress of finding accounts. Now, outside of all of that stuff, I said this morning that my mom had reached out to me about a friend of mine's dad passing away. And these are part of the group of friends that I've talked about earlier, ones that I grew up with and went to the bars with and seemed to have disappear when I had gotten myself into trouble. So my mom had said that, and the way this kind of broke down was that while we were younger, this girl that hung around with us was, she was kind of friends with my sister, and then one of the guys I hung around with all the time, they kind of got together, and nobody really saw it lasting, but now they have kids, they're married, and like 20 years later, or whatever it happens to be, they're still together, and her dad passed away, who I think I only met maybe a handful of times, like maybe 2 times ever in my life. And so my mom said that he had passed away, and I had not seen these 2 brothers up until my dad passed away. I hadn't seen one of them for close to 20 years. And the older brother I hadn't seen for well over that, at least 20 years. So I just when my dad passed, they were the first people to show up to my dad's celebration of life. Not the older brother, but the younger one and his mom, because, our families had been close when we grew up, and we played youth football together, and we grew up and obviously went through the same high school, and we had, the same group of friends, and they were the first people there at my dad's celebration of life to pay respects. And we hadn't talked to them in a very long time. So I felt like I owed the courtesy and the respect level to be returned as his wife's dad had passed away. So I drove down, and I had planned on going into the Danbury area anyway. So I stopped by the office, and I knocked on the door, and he opened the door and just looked at me, and he was like, hello, and said confused, and I said, hey, what's going on? And then he realized who I was, and gave me a big, tight embrace, which kind of took me by surprise a little bit. I said, hey, I stopped down to say hi and express my condolences. And, I ended up being there for about an hour talking, just about life and some different things. And I left there feeling like maybe my perception of how everything went down when I got in trouble wasn't necessarily just them. In that maybe I removed myself from, there and didn't give anybody an opportunity to be there for me. I don't know. But I will tell you this. My most recent group of friends that, I don't really talk to anymore and don't spend time with anymore. Of that group of friends, only 2 people came to my dad's celebration of life. And they lived about 2 blocks away from where my parents were. Everybody else didn't even stop by. I honestly couldn't tell you if they reached out. I think they did. I didn't get the same level of caring that I got yesterday. And it really took me back because these are people that I had known since I was 12 years old, and we were friends for, God, 15 years, all through high school, growing up, after high school. Yeah, it was just, I felt like a fool. If I'm going to be honest, I really did. I felt like a fool. Like, maybe these people really did care about where my life was going and the mistakes I made, and wanted to be there for me. And maybe I just felt like the problem was them and not necessarily taking the accountability for my own actions that led me to those positions. I really did. I felt like a fucking fool. So, with that said, when I left, he said, like, when you're down here, stop by. We'd really like to see you, and I'm gonna make sure I do that, because that kind of, like, the embrace that I got from him was, we missed you. Thank you for being here. Like, lost time could be fixed. It didn't tear me up at the time, but as I talk about it, I just I feel like my young, stubborn, fucking asshole version of me may have destroyed something that didn't need to be destroyed. And as I go down there and I stop in and see these guys, I want to find out more about their journey and what has happened to them over the last 20 years. And I want them to know about mine, because I had told them when I was down there, I said, my life's been a roller coaster for a long time, and it's finally stable and finally better, and I really couldn't be happier with my personal life right now. Work's always going to have its ups and downs, and it's never going to be easy day in and day out, but I'm fucking lucky, like, all the shit that I've been through, to have the things that I have in my life right now, to have the woman that I do by my side, and like, I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Yes, she's 20 years younger than me, but most relationships that have an age gap like that are all about one thing, and it's all about, the status, and the older portion of that relationship feeling like they needed a trophy, and that's not us. Audrey's gorgeous, and she is one of the most beautiful women I've ever had the privilege of putting my eyes on, but she is so much more than that. And she has literally pulled me out of the muck, the negativity, the amount of anger and burning of soul that I had in me. She has pulled me out of it, and she holds me in there and just says, like, sometimes without even saying it, that, like, listen, you can do this, and be aware of who you are, and don't let these things and these people manipulate you in the way that they have in the past. And don't fall back into the same routines that make you this angry, walls up asshole. And I love her for that, and just outside of that stuff, like, she grounds me, and this family that we have, with Cameron and with Ian, and all the other moving parts around it, I am really one of the luckiest people in the world. Life's not always easy, and, it's always going to have those challenges, but, like, for the first time in my life, I really feel like I've got my partner to make it through everything. That there's nothing that's going to come up in front of us that we won't conquer together. And I love her for every fucking bit of it. Like, we don't always see eye to eye on things, but we always do find a way to have a common ground and understand each other's point of views. And I honestly don't think I would be where I am without her. You know, the old me would have heard about somebody's whatever passing, and I would have found every other way to send my condolences rather than do it in person. And even going there yesterday, I I had like a gut wrenching feeling in my stomach. I get really anxious and nervous because I I want to say I don't know why, but I do know why. You know, it's because I've been such a fucking asshole in my life to so many different people, and I don't always remember the damage that I have done. So I am unsure what I am walking into when I do it. I am so happy I fucking did the hard thing yesterday and worked through that yesterday because, oh God, like, it allowed me to feel something I haven't felt in a long time, and that is maybe I wasn't as big of a disappointment, and maybe I wasn't as big of an asshole, or maybe the people that I thought left me hanging weren't really leaving me hanging. Maybe it was just, you know, like I said, my own doing that put me in that position. But it also showed me that these people still saw a good, kind, caring. They saw me at my core, and fuck, I couldn't have appreciated that anymore. And I wasn't even there for me, which is wild that I left feeling that way. I don't even know what else to say. I'm very, very lucky. I guess I have a lot of damage control to try to face through. There's some other people in my life that I was close with that have done a lot of things for me that I think I owe visits to, and take what I may or may not have coming to me and try to repair maybe some of the damage that I have done in my past. It's going to be an interesting journey, but I guess you got to practice what you preach. I guess I have to do the hard things, and there are more hard things that I need to do in my life outside of getting up at 5 a.m. and getting my exercise done and facing the day's challenges. It's up to me to try to work on these things. With that said, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you for listening to how I work through my own trauma and my own past. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be able to do that. So make sure you jump on those Instagram pages, give them a follow, check out, see what I got going on. Make sure that you jump on the Raise the Standard page. Links are in every bio on Instagram. Check out that stuff. And as always, I appreciate you guys very much, and we'll talk to you real soon.